Alright, today I'm going to show you my Technofied lesson plan, which I took originally from the OPI Indian Education website. It's about astronomy, crow beliefs in specific constellations, as well as a little geometry. So I'll take you through my presentation. I put everything into a Google presentation so that I could include links and videos and other ideas. So my lesson objectives are to learn the crow names and the western names, to learn the significance of Polaris and about its position in the sky, to identify the Big Dipper, to learn about circumpolar stars, and to learn 3 geometry terms: translation, rotation, and reflection. Our first step is to learn about the cardinal directions, which are north, south, east, and west. I thought the best way to do that would be to use Google Earth, because I think we can best understand the cardinal directions if we first apply them to our own planet before applying them to outer space. So what I would first have students do is play around with the program if they haven't used it before. So here's our image of Google Earth, and we have our compass up here. So we can use our keys to move north, south, east, and west. That's our first step. And here was my page explaining that. I would have computers already set up with Google Earth downloaded. Next step is to learn about the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is one of the most famous constellations in the Northern Hemisphere. It is known in many different cultures with many different stories. Today we're going to be learning specifically about the crow, but I also included up here the drinking gourd, which is a African American tale dating back to slavery, which would be an interesting extension of this lesson. Here's a quick video about Polaris and the significance of Polaris. I'm going to let you watch that on your own. I got some resources from OPI, which included a book of crow astronomy, stories that accompany the crow astronomy book, and a DVD with native speakers telling stories about crow astronomy that go along with some visual images. Unfortunately, I was not able to take those stories off of the DVD. I'm happy to lend it to anyone, but I recommend that you contact OPI and see if you can get a free copy at either MEA, MFT, or just by going to Helena and visiting them, because the stories are fascinating, very thorough, and there are some other good resources on the CDs. Next, we'll have a quick discussion about the significance of constellations in crow mythology, and we'll be comparing the story of Buffalo Boy, which is also the North Star in Western terms. Next, we'll examine the North Star a bit closer. The program we're going to use is called Stellarium, which is a fascinating program. It's a little bit similar to Google Earth in that it's a free download. Here's a quick tutorial about Stellarium that you can watch on your own. But Stellarium will turn your computer or any smart board into a virtual planetarium, and I'll show you just a little bit of Stellarium here. So the goal is to find Polaris and experiment with playing the night through one full rotation to look for patterns. You might need to do it more than once. So I will open up Stellarium. And Stellarium starts by orienting you to the south. We can see our nice horizon layer here with the moon, and I have set it to Missoula with roughly the correct time. So I'm going to spin this around to the north, And I'm going to drag down the horizon so we can see a bit more sun or sky. Next, what I'm going to do is add in the constellation lines and the constellation names. I'm going to show this to you quick. There's pictures that go with it, but I think they're a bit distracting, so I'm going to take them off. And down here, you can play the rotation of the night sky. And what I'm going to ask students to do is look for a pattern in the rotation of the stars. Pretty neat. You can speed it up if you want to. I think this is an adequate speed, and there are quite a few more features on this program that you can play with. Circumpolar stars. This is a time-lapse of the North Star, which you can see right here. So a circumpolar star, here's a quick analogy with an umbrella. If you spin an umbrella and you imagine that Polaris is in the middle and the other stars are spinning around that one star, it's a pretty good representation of Polaris's relationship to other stars in the sky. Circumpolar, you can break it into two parts, circle and pole. So at this point, I'll have the students use Stellarium again to notice the Big Dipper and Polaris's path through the sky. Let's take a look at Stellarium again. We'll go around to the north. Add in our constellations and play the night. A little bit too fast. Okay, so here we have it rotating, and what I would do is I would circle Polaris right there and have students notice that it basically does not move, but everything else moves around it. And you can tell that it's going through a full day cycle right now as it gets lighter and darker. Pretty neat. Okay. Close that. Next, we're going to take a look at 3 geometry terms. Here's a quick video that covers translation, rotation, and reflection. I decided to have students use an interactive website to learn about translation, rotation, and reflection after they watch the video. I'll just show you one of these, but I think it's a good way to get students involved in playing around with these geometric terms to make it fun instead of a bit dry on a piece of paper. Playing with a website is pretty neat. So here we've got a little animation of rotation around a center point. And here what we can do is take one object, decide to rotate it, and do a quick rotate. And what the computer program does is it calculates how to rotate each object from its vertices. We'll do one more. All 3 of those websites are pretty similar in that you can mess around with them to experiment with the 3 geometric terms. Next, students will learn about coordinate planes, which is how astronomers communicate with each other regarding the location of different stars. I'll show you hot math. Now, while it is not star related, it's about frogs and flies. It's a pretty neat program that can get students a lot of repetitions to increase their exposure to coordinate planes. So here we go. We've got a fly flying around, and now we have to put in the coordinates. So let's see, what's our x? 1, 0, 5, 6, put in 6, and our y value is 4. See if we can catch the fly. And I would challenge students to see how many flies can they catch in a minute or so. Finally, students will use PBS stars to create their own constellations and to incorporate The coordinates in this, I'm going to ask students to make one constellation in each quadrant, and then to extend it to a language arts concept, students will name their constellations and write a short story about each one. Now, the way they present their story to other students is flexible. They can write it on the computer, they can create a podcast, they can make a little video, they can do a presentation, anything to incorporate different technologies. Thanks for taking a look at my Technified lesson plan. I had a lot of fun creating it, and I'll probably use it in my classroom as soon as possible. Thanks.